Welcome to the Football Show on PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel. I'm Peter Martin. Scott Allan, Ryan McGowan and Tam McManus are here with me. Thank you very much to you for joining us. All you have to do is hit the subscribe button on our YouTube channel and you'll join the football family. And if you want all that breaking news at your fingertips, why not download the app as well? Scotland, England and right across European football and world football, we have lots of content that I know you will enjoy. And of course, if you look at the broadcasters right across the whole of Scotland, we are day by day giving you 24/7 all the content you could wish for, unique video content as well. So thank you to all of you for your tremendous support. The figures have been absolutely sensational. We have doubled and more our figures from last year, Tam. It's been a bumper year.
Yeah, it has. Obviously, the guys you've brought in have contributed to maybe going up 2 or 3%, but obviously you've got me, it's the other 98.
and Ruffy.
Ruffy's just nothing.
Ruffy's just here.
Ruffy's smittled everybody on Monday. His cough.
Yeah, absolutely. I think he's infected everybody. But basically, we've got lots to talk about. Celtic looking for the magical 10 points for qualification to the playoff in the Champions League. I think Cameron Carter-Vickers certainly let that slip, that all the players were looking at 10 points. What about the other teams involved in Champions League? Well, Pep Guardiola watched his side blow a 3-goal advantage against Feyenoord, and he later had to apologise for a self-harm comment. We'll discuss that. I was at one of those games that you just say thank you to all the players for contributing to a 6-goal thriller at Easter Road last night. It was absolutely magnificent. We'll hear from both managers on that one as well. And of course, because it's so immediate, Celtic against Brugge, we might as well get it out of the way. Give us your thoughts on that as well. How do you see it going? We've got lots to talk about, including, of course, I managed to get, Ryan, a huge, massive Hibs Hearts picture that I'd been holding since 2012. And I got James McPake to sign it from the Scottish Cup final.
You must have loved that.
I can't believe Jazz has signed
to
it.
To be fair, James reluctantly signed it, but I think you moved back to Australia, and I was saying to myself, damn, I'm never going to see that guy again. And
back now.
Lo and
So
behold,
that's why you got him into the show.
so the reason I
Sign
brought him
it?
back.
You signed it yet?
Yeah, he's signed it,
nice.
so it's undoubtedly going to be something that we're going to look forward to. A Hearts fan getting a hold of it, something not to be forgotten. Anyway, thanks to Lee, Stuart, so many, Paul as well, John, and Polly as well for joining us. Paul, as ever, likes to join us on a regular basis. Gary as well, and Tam finally breaking out the green jacket for a Hibs draw. But I have to point out, as we head towards Christmas, I think even Scott, he's got a high threshold because of the
Quite stylish
because of the spare cash that he has in his accounts.
Still get his
He's
Celtic
well
sign
happy
on
with
for
the
you.
Maestro stuff, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. I didn't think he would wear it. I think he thought
Yeah.
he maybe a wee bit above that. You know, he's more into his
Wow.
labels. He's into his labels, you know. But he's fair enough. He's wearing that. We'll probably take it off and put it in the bin after the
Do
show.
you like it?
No, I think it's fantastic, but nothing has suggested that I've been into labels all year.
What about yourself, Brian?
I like it.
haven't got
Gowser looks a million.
I haven't got a maroon one, but you look the business in it.
Yeah, I like
think
black.
thin people do look the business in these.
Yeah,
Should have worn the green one.
that's why you're struggling.
Exactly.
They wore black.
Yeah. Anyway, if you're looking for a great Christmas present, get on to the PLZ Soccer website. In the shop, we've got 20 Legends T-shirts, posters, canvas, and of course the Maestro tops, which are flying out at the moment. Red, blue, green and black. And the boys are wearing theirs. And we'll get a wee photograph with them and fire that out on our social media accounts. So, Celtic against Bruges, it's one of those games where, if you think about it, guys, we've all been chatting and thinking, 4 or 5 weeks ago, you're saying, I can't see them do anything against Dortmund. They get hammered, they get slaughtered. 4 or 5 weeks on, Celtic against Bruges at home, and everybody's thinking Celtic going to win.
And quite rightly so. I think they've earned that, being favourites obviously with the last 2 performances. The 2 previous performances at home, Celtic have been fantastic. Obviously the football that we know, Brendan Rodgers has been trying to get this side to play, especially in Europe. So I think quite rightly so. Fans are got a high expectation of what's going to happen tonight.
Yeah, I think even Brendan Rodgers is quick to point out that after that 7-1 mauling at Dortmund, there were lessons to be learned.
There is a part of the journey And I said it at the time and was probably looked at a bit funny, but that it can be that trampoline effect and it can bounce you back even higher. But it's how you deal with it, which is important. So dealing with the setback that we had that night, you can see where it's trampolined the players and bounced them forward.
Yeah, absolutely. He's got to have. I think he deserves credit because the criticism was fierce. As you do, that's the way football goes, Ryan. But the team bounced back, and the way they played changed as well.
Yeah, I think when you play for a club like Celtic, that demands on you, and you can't really be affording to lose games, 7 or 8-0, whether it's the Champions League. But saying that, what they have bounced back has been really good, and I thought the last game at home was probably one of their best performances in 15, 20 years. So they'll be full of confidence going into tonight, but they also know that this will be a difficult game for them. But I think if they do win, then they're pretty much one step into the next phase of the qualifications.
Yeah, I was looking at it. 25th to 36th, Tam, you're eliminated. So I think they'll be looking at it and saying to themselves, they're 18th in the league table at the moment, but as soon as they play the number of games, which is 5, from the rest of the teams that played last night, they could find themselves in that second bank and more than enough points in the bag. You reckon through Opta stats, 10's enough?
Yeah, I think that'll be enough to get into obviously the playoff, but I think Celtic will be eyeing up automatic. I think when you look at the fixtures they've got, I think if the young boys I think got hammered last night at home from Atlanta, I think that when you look at the fixtures, Celtic are capable of picking up 7 points maybe, and that could be enough for automatic qualification, which would be incredible when you look at the teams that's in there. I looked at last night, PSG, Real Madrid, they're toiling to qualify, so Celtic have been excellent so far. I think this is a game tonight which the fear for me is a lot of people expect Celtic to win. I don't like that. I think when Celtic go in with maybe lower expectations to get a result, they're better, but if Celtic turn up and play the way they played and Scott said the 2 previous home games, I think they'll beat Brugge, but Bruges are an excellent team. They beat Aston Villa last time. I heard John McGinn speaking about them, said they were very hard to break down. So, and they don't concede many goals.
Helps when Tyrone Mings picks the ball up, gives a goal though,
so they're a good side, but I think we're obviously a packed Celtic Park behind them. If they can start the game and get the first goal, then you would expect Celtic to win. But a tough game.
Yeah, it's funny actually, but you sometimes. I mean, it's not an exact science, but they say you learn more in adversity. You learn more from a thumping because it gives you a sense of the levels. I can remember way back watching Aberdeen getting absolutely trounced home and away by Liverpool. And Fergie used that, learned from it, and they grew from I think it was 1980 they played Liverpool in the European Cup. And then as they moved on, they would see off Ipswich Town, they would suddenly get to a Cup Winners' Cup final against Real Madrid. You have to go through sometimes the pain before there's gain.
Yeah, I think the problem with the Dortmund game was it was a familiar sight in terms of Celtic in Europe taking a heavy defeat off one of the better sides, but I felt this year it's been different with Celtic. There's the energy they have as a team, even off the ball, they've been a lot better than they were last year. And we spoke about it in here. I think me and Tam went back and forward with you, Peter, in terms of how Celtic set up. There wasn't much change in the next game against Atlanta, except for it was a bit of a deeper press. And because Atlanta controlled most of the game, they naturally dropped off. As soon as it came to the home game, it was the same Celtic we'd seen in the first tie in the Champions League, and that's the feeling. When I seen the last game against Leeds, I still think there's more to come from this Celtic side. I really do, and that's why I'm fully confident. I don't even think they need to get to the Leipzig level, maybe just a wee bit under it, and I think that would be enough tonight.
Yeah, it's funny. I mean, listen, at the end of the day, everybody's got their opinions. I still don't agree with you. And when we get into 2025, there's some new technology coming in which you are going to thrive on as far as tactics are concerned. I cannot wait to unleash you and then get these two to pick you apart as well.
It's opinions, isn't it? It's
absolutely, but I still think he looked at it. I mean, there are many ways to win a game, but I still think he looked at it, Ryan, and said, well, listen, maybe they punished us on every possible mistake, but they were just too open against a side that they're not even the best Dortmund side of the last decade. So I think what he did was, in effect, he said to himself, right, if we lose that ball, it's 11 behind it, and it's a tighter back four against the midfield five. That's when he changed, and everybody worked tirelessly to do that, rather than a situation which has gone before. You only have to look at Brendan Rodgers' first time around. Again, roll the ball out from the back. Let's start playing from the back. PSG high press, Barcelona high press, hammered. So the accusation was, wait a minute, you've been done in 7-1 before. When are you going to learn your lesson? I think, to his credit, the manager's turned around and said, listen, little tweaks. I'm not saying massive tweaks, but little tweaks to say, when we're not on that ball, yes, we want to press, but we must be more compact. There's got to be very little space between 4 and 5.
I think if you look at all the Dortmund goals, I felt like they were probably 5 or 6 yards too high.
Yeah.
When they lost the ball. So that sometimes just there's a back four just dropping that little bit, because then the pass into that, behind the line becomes so much more difficult because your goalie's out, your centre back's in. So there's not that much. It has to be perfect to be slid through. So like that, little tweaks, maybe not pressing as high up, but I feel like this Celtic team is the best on the ball. When you watch them play, they can actually control the whole game. They've got players that are comfortable on the ball. They've got players that when Rodgers does want to pass out, they're all comfortable on the ball. They can all play those triangles. They can play around the corner. They've got a really good squad.
Do you not feel for that night though? And I totally agree with what you're saying. We're talking about learning. I actually feel that they learned technically that night.
Yeah.
They 5 and 10 yard passes.
Because they kept giving the ball away in Dortmund.
That's where they were getting killed. They were used to breaking out.
Yeah.
Missing the 5-10 yards where you need to be extra on point, especially at that level, and then they were punished because of the pace at the opposition. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, the one thing that we talked about was there was a moment when Leipzig had them pressed and boxed in a corner, and they played their way out, Tam.
No, I totally agree. I think it's as good a Celtic team technically as I've seen in a long time, Peter. I think when you look at the confidence they've got from the goalkeeper's excellent on the ball as well. I think he's a big improvement on Joe Hart in terms of on the ball. He doesn't panic on it. If the other team presses, he'd be able to clip one into maybe a winger or into a fullback. So Celtic are excellent on the ball. They're comfortable. And then when the opposition's got the ball, they've got the energy to go and press them. And then they can do it for 90 minutes now, Peter. I've said it from the start. They've got substitutes. They've got a strength and depth now that they've not had for years. They can go and bring on a £9 million striker or a guy like Bernardo in the second half, or a fullback from Barcelona if they're struggling.
Would you go Engels or Bernardo tonight?
I'd probably go Bernardo, but I think he'll play Engels. I think Engels has been probably a wee bit better than Europe, but I think Bernardo's really pushing him for his place. I don't think Engels has been great.
Am I being unkind? I'm not quite sure what he does yet.
Engels, I don't think he's been brilliant, Peter. He's neat and tidy on the ball, but for £11 million, you're wanting more impact in the final third. He's box to box.
I think what you can now compare it to is, forget the price tag, how long it took Kuhn to settle in to really get, and now you're seeing the best of him. I think.
Do you think you're seeing the best of him, Engels?
Kuhn? No, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
If you compare it, like Kuhn took him time to settle in, maybe come later stage of the season, I think you might see that in Engels.
Yeah. I mean, I'm looking and I'm thinking to myself, what does he do? You know what McGregor does. He just comes back, takes the ball off the back four, makes it so easy. Even if if you're a centre half who can't play football, he's an absolute dream. 5 yards.
The guys round about you make that easy for you to play their passes as well.
Well, absolutely.
The passes they give you.
But it reminds me of Martin O'Neill saying to, Johan, I didn't sign you as a footballer. Ball comes into box, you head away. And when you have ball at feet, give it to Lennon and Lambert and they'll do the rest. You know what I mean?
But they have that balance now. That I think with the Engels case I agree with Scotty, he needs that time to settle in. He's probably trying to work out where he fits in that midfield three. Is he the one that's relying on him to score goals? Does he have that little bit of extra license? Because the more you play with players, the more you start to get that feeling off them or the vibe off them of, right, when McGregor gets it, he likes to turn on his left and play that one right around the corner. But it's not until you play with them regularly that you can then start seeing the patterns of where that happens. And I just feel like he's slowly growing into it, but because of his price tag, there's that little bit of extra pressure on him to hit the ground running. But he's still young, moving to a different country, massive club. It is a good time for him to be playing at Celtic because they're winning. But I definitely think there's a proper player in there that, give him a couple of months, he'll be showing everyone why they paid 11 million for him.
Yeah, give us your predictions then, because listen, they're unbeaten in their last 6 games, Bruges. They're a wee bit off Anderlecht at the top of the table, but they've still managed to break the stranglehold in Belgian football for the last 9 years. You know, they've really had some really good title wins over the last 9 years, so they are a force.
If Celtic play to their capability, I fully expect Celtic to win the game, so I'm going to go 2-0.
2-0 with Celtic keeping a clean sheet.
Yep.
Going 2-1.
Yep. Okay,
I'll go 2-1 Celtic as well.
Okay, I think 3-1 on the night.
I think they'll need to play well, Peter. I don't think they can turn up and be off it. You know, five or six off it. I think they've got to have 8 or 9 on it on their game again, same as Leipzig's. I think Brugge are a good side.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think you're right. Sometimes, you know, I hate it when any Scottish club goes into a game and there's a wee bit of overconfidence. Just out of curiosity, guys, and Celtic apart, have you ever had an absolute doing in a match and then you thought, woof, great learning curve from it?
Good.
I've been on the end of a few.
Yeah.
My first time ever going to Celtic Park with Dundee United, I think it was my second professional game. We get beat 5-1 and just kept hearing the music every time Celtic scored. And the learning curve, to be fair, I actually, and with that game, looked after the ball. But I remember thinking there's levels to go up here. That was my first day. That was my second proper game for Dundee United, and we took a bit of a doing.
Yeah, Ryan?
I've had loads of doings, but I always just feel like when you're playing at that level, you just realise how far off you are.
Yeah.
You know, just how good they are. And
does it change your mindset to think, I've got to move, I've got to do better, I've got to work harder? Do you go away from
think
it?
that, but you can't do it. Your touch isn't good enough to do it.
You need to have other things that allow you maybe some point to get to that level, and then when you train and play at that level, you become accustomed to it, I think.
Yeah.
There's a lot of players that haven't played day clubs, but if you gave them a 6 week period to win, they would probably do okay.
Yeah, I mean, Tam. The reason why I love him is because there is an element of you highlighting, you know, big games where you played and you've got a doing, and then there's that what I call Aussie realism about it. You know, I could try and train harder, but it's not going to do any difference. It's not.
Probably Celtic when Lubo Moravcik scored for Celtic, the Raker. I think you were at the game.
I was commentating on it,
Easter Road. I started that day up front with Craig Brewster, and I think we were 4-0 down at half time. And Lennon and Lambert were playing in the middle of the park, and I was to drop deep into one of those. From Alec McLeish was the instructions to drop deep into one of those, and I just basically chased it all night, because when I went and pressed Lennon, he played it to Lambert and he played it to Petrov, and then Moravcik scored that screamer.
Yeah.
And Alec McLeish, we were getting beat 4-0 at half time, we got absolutely roasted, I hadn't even touched the ball, and he came in and he started going through me for not shutting Moravcik down. I'm thinking he's hit it for about 40 yards, and he said, I told you to drop into the midfield. And I've got a picture in the house, and I'm about 20 yards away from Moravcik, but I'm in the picture and you see Lubo hitting it.
Is it up the wall?
There's no way I'm going to... I got Lubo to sign it, and I'm thinking, there's no way I could have got there and pressed him there. And all I done for 60 minutes, and then I got hooked, was just chase after Celtic midfielders. They were different class under Martin O'Neill.
Yeah, absolutely. If it's any consolation, Stillian played at the sixes side last week.
I watched a bit of it.
No, I mean the sixes sides that we play regularly in Glasgow.
Did they? I thought you were talking
and
the
he's
Masters
just
there.
absolutely outrageous. I mean, he was
class.
He still was, you know, stick thin, running about like a complete madman. And fit as anything. I mean, when you turn up and you're looking, you're saying to yourself, you're a journal who's let himself go, and you're just relying on your touch and no running, and then he's there, and then of course the worst, exactly. Honestly, it's as simple as that, because the worst one is when you see McGeady and McFadden turn up. You just actually, if you're talking about levels, you know, you actually just look and you see.
Aidan McGeady in a 5-a-side game will be incredible.
No, it's not incredible. It's just another level. It's just, you're looking and you're saying to yourself, every time he plays, we just have to say to ourselves, double up on him, and sometimes treble up, because his feet movement are just outrageous. And James McFadden is the same. You know, just
I played with Faddy. I played sevens with Faddy.
Yeah.
And Boyd, in fact.
He's incredible.
He's just shooting for everywhere.
Yeah, absolutely. But the great thing about Boydie in the sixes he plays too is I've built my game around him, which is no movement whatsoever. But he can score a goal or two. I tell you one thing though, you know, when you go to games sometimes and you're a reporter, you sometimes just get in, you think, oh, what are we going to get today? I went to Easter Road last night hoping, Tam, and I make no bones about this, hoping that Hibs could pull off a win, because I have a soft spot for David Gray. I just don't want to see him. I don't want to see him lose his job. I want to see him being able to turn it around. I don't know if that leaves me wide open to criticism. No disrespect to Aberdeen either. It's just that I thought the axe would fall on him if he lost last night. But boy, every one of the Hibs players fought for him.
Yeah, they did, and I thought it was a really good performance, positive performance, Peter. I'll start with the positives. I think scoring 3 goals at home. Hibs have struggled to score goals this season. They hit the post, hit the bar, and they had a lot of chances. So I think going forward, Hibs look back to what you would expect from a Hibs team. I thought the first half they probably just shaded it. I thought Aberdeen were poor in the first half. Second half it was just an end-to-end game. It was wide open. Aberdeen obviously brought on Morris, the right winger, and he was absolutely tremendous. Second half, he turned the game.
I don't know why he doesn't start.
I think he's an impact player.
Sometimes
I think he's an impact.
You just get players like that, don't you? Sometimes?
I think he's a good sub, Peter. I think if you start him, I think he's not got the same impact when you bring him on against tired legs.
Best super sub you've ever seen?
It was last night.
No, I mean best super sub you've ever seen in life. Somebody got a tag. Right.
Probably me. That was a good impact sub.
You're harsh.
No, but honestly, I thought the Hibs, and then the overhead. I mean, the goalkeeper for Hibs. I mean, I don't.
You think he should save the overhead kick?
I think he could maybe do better. I don't think it's a.
I thought he should have.
I don't think it's
I
a.
thought he should have saved it.
I would. Yeah, I do.
He could have saved it. I think there's a difference between could have and should have. I think he could have saved it, but I thought if you got to give.
Thinking unbelievable.
It's a great save if he saves it, but I thought the goal itself, again, it's Morris and the technique. He catches it flush, Peter. We know how hard it is for an overhead kick. And
I think if Ruffy's sitting here, he says he should have got a stronger hand on it.
Yeah, possibly. But I think he caught it flush.
I just think it's a reaction thing for a goal. I think a lot of goalkeepers do save that.
Aye, and he's not been playing, Peter. He's been out of the team and he made a mistake. And
a big call that's changing the goalkeepers.
That's a real problem for Hibs, Peter. I don't know if there's a free agents out there or they can recall the lad Johnson. It's the Airdrie. There's a real problem at the minute at the back in the goalkeeping department for Hibs, and they've got to sort it because they probably win that game without those errors. But
I think
they went to the end.
Good point there, Tim. I think like long term as the season goes on, like the goalkeeper's so crucial. They points that they could be all the difference.
Giving goals away. I mean, the one he came out and palmed Peter was just giving it away.
They are howlers.
Yeah,
to be honest.
Yeah, absolutely. But I mean, it was a calamity last night. I mean, it just was. You were not filled. I mean, the Aberdeen fans to a man every time he got the ball. Oh, that was them, because they knew he was not filling. That's your worst nightmare, isn't it?
But that's 2 goalkeepers. We're talking about the 2 goalkeepers.
Yeah.
Happened on Saturday again last night. The Hibs, I think that could be probably the most important position that they need to need recruitment for in the January window.
Yeah. So they take him out on Saturday and they bring the Bussick back in. I mean, it's.
And the problem with goalies is they're not the brightest, so they now feel like they're competing with each other, and they'll have to do something that shows that they're number one.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like if he'd maybe played 10 games, he's probably not coming out for that corner. He's just going to stay on his line. But because he's, fresh in and wants to make an impact, he's thinking if I come out here and catch it, and everyone will be like, oh, he's commanding his area.
Yeah.
And I just feel like that's what seems to be happening at Hibs. And
you know how important that is in terms of how your season looks. If
even as a centre back,
and that's maybe where the unrest in the back four actually comes from, is because they just don't feel that calmness, especially with the corners, set pieces, and either the goalkeepers.
And then the fans start feeling it, and then every time there's a corner, you can just sense that everybody in the stadium going, oh Jesus, this is going to happen.
I like your line there. They're not the brightest. You'll do that now because Ruffy's not sitting next to you. But
you'd agree.
I'd love to know what was going through his head, Tam, because there was 5 or 6 players in front of him. When he tries to go through a ruck of them to punch the ball clear, and I'm thinking...
He takes it off the Hibs boys' head.
Exactly.
Some finish though, wasn't it?
Nicky Devlin's just...
What a finish that is.
Calm as you like. Although, I have to say, this David Gray reckons that if they keep playing the way they're playing, then Hibs will indeed turn it around.
That's the positives. I think, we've got a slice of luck with the first one, a bit of a deflection. It's something that, especially Joe, he needs to add more goals to his game. So for having the attempt on goal and get the post in the second half as well, I think we had to hit the bar as well. The goalkeepers had to make, probably not had to make enough saves for the areas we got ourselves into. But I think, all in all, I think the players need to take the positives from the game as well and really start to believe again, and we will turn this around. If we can keep putting performance levels in like that, this will turn quickly.
Yeah, I thought our mic was obtrusive at times, but it was good to see that Radio 4th had brought a giant flagpole and then they just stuck the mic on the end of it. I was lucky.
You're not happy, it's usually the big PLZ one there, Peter. You're like
myself, you know. But
it was you, no, you were there, no excuses.
I know, there's no excuses. By the way, do you want to tell you something? That I'd open my big mouth and I said, you know, he always goes...
Are you spotting your maestro? No.
When the manager... No, it's too cold. By the way, somebody turned around here and absolutely slaughtered us, Tam. Basically, about the boys wearing the maestro. It's RJL says, Peter Martin's not daft, he makes the 3 plums on the couch wear the PLZ sportswear. I mean, you come in with that on, and obviously those two...
You requested?
They want a freebie.
They want a freebie, that's exactly it, you know. But, yeah, and don't forget, to be perfectly honest with you, go to the shop and you'll be able to get one for Christmas. It's great for your dad, your mum, or indeed your sisters, your brothers. Everybody can buy one. What a great Christmas present, because Christmas is a nightmare trying to buy people stuff.
It is.
I mean, what are you going to get your wife?
This.
Brilliant, Ryan.
You've got his brother that.
I'll tell you one thing about it. The game last night, the reason why it was so good is you're trying to tweet out as much as you possibly can, and I'm thinking 91 minutes, and I'm thinking, you know, Aberdeen are ahead. Cadden walks up, hits an absolute raker of a free kick, and I'm thinking to myself, okay, 2-2, you know, fantastic. They do the overhead kick, 30 seconds left, Tam, and then it's just, there's many ways to salvage a match or win it. Launch.
Yep. Listen, needs must at that time of the game. You're just wanting the ball in the opposition's box and hopefully something breaks to you, and it did. And Big Rocky stuck it away. Fair play to him. I thought he had a good game last night. He's been much maligned at times with Hibs. I thought Eli Johan was excellent. Really good performance. I thought he obviously took a bit of stick after the Dundee game for the keepy-ups.
Did you see what he done on Instagram?
I did. I seen he had a go back at Marvin Bartley on Instagram.
What's your thoughts on that?
My thoughts on that are just concentrating, playing well and scoring goals. I think Marvin's entitled to his opinion. He's obviously...
Johan won man of the match last night.
I thought he was an excellent game. I think he's a very talented player, Peter, but I think his attitude's questionable at times. It wasn't last night, but it just not the optics of him keeping the ball up when just a man sent off. It just doesn't look good.
You're not being petty.
No, I'm not, Peter, and that's just my opinion. And people have a different opinion.
Standing outside of the park as a manager or coach, you're not
going mad.
Well, did the manager go mad?
Probably internally, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because somebody's highlighted it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just not a good look. He's not doing anything wrong.
Yeah.
But it's not a good look. The same as the Instagram post or whatever it was back at, but it's not a good look.
Yeah.
You know, you
That
are
is
like
only a draw last night.
And to be fair, the
bottom of the
PFA
league.
do advise all the players, you know, be careful what you engage in. But every now and then you decide to have a wee go because you can't resist.
But you just think, right, say if he did take offence to Bartley's comments, then just be like, right, I'm going to put my head down between now and January, for example, score some goals, get Hibs in a better position, focus on getting 5 man of the match awards in a row, back into the top 6. Then he can turn around and say, you know, there's my man of the match or whatever. Like what Scotty said, they're still bottom of the league. He's not scored or had any assists. They drew last night when they were super lucky to draw it with the way that the game's gone.
Yeah.
It's not really a time to be playing your ace card and going, cheers, there you go.
It's the mindset for me that I find a bit bizarre. Like
Just keep your head down.
After that.
You've played really well.
Yeah.
Go out and play well for the next 4 or 5 games
His first
so that
thoughts
everybody's then
was
saying,
Bartley.
what was Bartley talking about or what was...
You're speaking to the wrong two because we're
would've done the
on,
same.
I understand
we're
that
on
though, like,
social
for
media.
you to come straight in and go, I'm going to put an Instagram up and tag Marvin Bartley in it. That should be the last thing in your head after that game.
Should be thinking, what's
a bit strange in
a Marvin Bartley?
Yeah.
Maybe and it was man of the match last night. Maybe that was the wee rocket he needed. Maybe he's used that as fuel. Maybe he's used that as fuel to go out and play well, because it's probably the best he's played all season, Peter.
Yeah, the other thing about it,
He did a great
last
game.
night,
He did.
sometimes people jump on social media and take the wrong end of the stick. I mean, last night I posted merely the fact that the Hibs Ultras, average age 16 to 18, which is the
I
average
didn't see it,
age.
Peter. I've blocked you on Twitter.
So that's great news. So they basically had sacked the board and they were singing, you know, Ben Kensel, get to whatever.
France.
So they wanted, clearly the youngsters, and I merely pointed out the question, do they speak for the majority? Not their opinion is worthless. Just do they speak for the majority? Is it at that point, and you're probably best placed to this, is it at that point that banner, the unrest from the young team, is a fair reflection of everybody else? It's just the way they're voicing it.
I think it is a fair reflection. I think the vast majority of the Hibs fans are not happy with the way the club's been. They're not happy with the situation in the last 2 years where they've been dreadful. They've went through managers, like
Players.
those assaults, players. It's just they're sitting bottom of the league. I think everybody's kind of scunnered with the club at the minute. I think probably the better way to do it for those fans, maybe do it after the game when the directors and the guys are coming out and you're outside and you get your point right to them across.
You're not advising that, are you?
I'm not
Get out the door, boys, and set up shop.
I'm not advising any violence, but I mean, go outside and when they come out after the game,
Turn their cars.
They actually see it and they feel it.
Yeah.
And they feel the fans rather than doing it there. But I think they're entitled to their opinion, and I think a lot of Hibs fans would agree with it.
Yeah.
The Block 7.
Yeah. As far as Aberdeen are concerned, again, we mentioned that October was going to be tough for them, but suddenly, they've got a run of games. They're back in Edinburgh against Hearts at the weekend as well, the Dons, and they've got Celtic on the horizon in that Wednesday night game. So it's a tough month for them, and even just squandering that 3 points that was there for them when they got the overhead kick. It looked as if they were going to win. 30 seconds left. Jimmy Tilleen quick to admit that maybe emotions got the better of them.
All these emotions sometimes can be like the equalizer, that is so much emotions to lose a little bit concentration. So we make a collective mistake. We know what they're gonna do, but we were too spread out, so they pick up the second balls, and that's football. It happens all over the world sometimes, these strange games, but it's of course we have to learn from this and mature as a team.
Yeah, absolutely. All you had to do was just basically, 30 seconds sounds easy to see it out, but they weren't.
Time.
Yeah, exactly. A long time to make a mistake, isn't it? It was a great game. I loved it. Thought it was a great advert for Scottish football. I'm lucky that I was able to say I was there. Motherwell 6, Hibs 6. That was just a mental game. I picked out another few that, if you were lucky enough to be there. Motherwell 5, Aberdeen 6. Do you remember that one? That was a good few years ago. I think Ian
Robbie Winters.
Yeah, Ian
There
Jess was
might
playing for
be, there
Aberdeen.
should be a couple two games that I played in on that list.
Dundee United 0, Celtic 9.
No,
Jack Ross.
remember that game?
Yeah.
Celtic could have done that to anybody that day, though. I
Yeah.
remember it.
Hibs 5, Rangers
Yeah,
5.
played in that.
Did you play in that?
Scored in it.
What was that like? I mean,
We were 3-0 up after 15 minutes. We had to win 5-0
yeah.
or 4-0.
Jamie McLaren scored, didn't he?
Yeah, Jamie scored, and we were 3-0 up.
Is this when Neil did the playing?
Yeah. See, 3-0. See, we were that gung ho. Like, see if we just went 3-0 and then for 5-10 minutes just kept the ball, we would have probably got the 2 goals. We were just.
Who was the captain?
Who was the captain that night? Lou Stevenson, Paul Hanlon it would have been.
Yeah.
And Effie was getting the ball and trying to dribble through the whole team. I'll never forget that. But it was an incredible game of football. And then Rangers brought it back. And I think it was it Jamie McLaren scored? Yeah, he scored the 5th goal. Jamie McLaren scored it. And obviously that famous celebration of Lenny doing the helicopter.
Yeah.
I remember tweeting it 3-0 to Hibs. This is an
Did
absolute,
you?
This is an absolute pumping. This is a doing.
It was though.
Yeah.
And then at 5 each, I get about 1 million notifications for Rangers fans.
Yeah.
I was glad Rangers never won, by the way.
It was 2 weeks before that with Kelly. It was the same. 5-3 we beat Kelly.
Yeah. To be fair, by the way, it's the worst thing you can do is just say, I know only too well. With
The way it goes on with Hibs.
Yeah,
That
Hibs.
famous tweet.
Oh, never forget it. And the good news is the Hibs fans never let me forget it either.
What happened there? I've not heard that one.
Remember Hearts were 2-0 up against Hibs in the Scottish Cup and Peter wrote.
Tynecastle.
Aye, the way
Semi-final?
the way it goes over.
So
In the last minute?
they've scored 2-0, and I've basically said, game over, 2-0 to the Hearts. The wait goes on for Hibs, 120 odd years.
They won the Scottish Cup that year.
120 odd years experience as well.
I know, and then they come back, they equalise, so it's 2-2. And I'm
Won the
thinking,
replay.
Hearts, you're 2-0 up at Tynecastle.
They won
for
the
God's
Scottish Cup.
sake. And then they won the replay, won the Scottish Cup.
Every year it gets retweeted.
And by the way, on the exact day, and it's not 10, it's thousands of them, and they keep sharing it. But I never delete the tweet.
No,
I think you've got to take it in the chin. You've got to take it. And of course, big wins. Hearts 5, Hibs 1. We've got you to sign that huge poster.
trying
Try to punt that man these PLZ taps, isn't he?
Just trying to think of that game. Yeah.
Yeah.
People have told me I need to stop talking about it, but yeah, that was the biggest game. One of the biggest games I probably ever play in, because it's very like the odds of us or Hearts and Hibs getting into another cup final was just so slim, and to go out there and win that comfortably and such, just everything that followed on from it was unbelievable.
Five breakaways.
Yeah. Have you still got the shirt?
Yeah.
Yeah. Of course, you scored in it, didn't you?
Yeah. Scored the 4th.
Yeah, absolutely. I had a look at the
Surprised
game.
you've not got 4 each. Hearts 4, Hibs 4 in that game.
Yeah.
I could have had that one as well. You could think of so many great games like that. 4-4.
You were playing in that one, weren't you?
Yeah.
I scored, fourth. Come
Is
off.
that your derby highlight?
I come up. No. Gary O'Connor scoring against Hearts when we had 10 men at Easter Road. Do you remember that game? The 1-1. Gary O'Connor scored in the last minute. Hibs
Yes.
had 10 men.
Yeah.
Beat Hearts with 10 men. Anyway, 4 each. I was coming off at 4-2. It was a New Year game. And we had been, Bobby Wilkinson hadn't won a derby, and he was promising all the players, like, I'll see you next, like for 6 days off. And I'd scored my first ever derby goal, come off at 4-2. A lot of away fans and all that. It's kissing the badge and all that. About 2 minutes later, 2 minutes later, it was 4 each.
Oh no!
Yeah. Don't forget,
weird.
if you have
5 days off.
If you have a...
And the next day.
Yeah, sorry about that, lads. Talk among yourselves. If you have a point of view that you want to say anything on our feed, try and keep it decent. We try, I think 99% of the people who comment on our live feed, it's the only reason we actually brought it back, because remember we had a year where we just thought, to hell with it. We're
It's got annihilated every day.
Honestly,
Confidence was in tatters, man.
I know, it was like 5 days of having to suffer.
We used to be on 5 days a
The
week.
madness of people just abusing. And then, of course, the other thing about it is there is a majority of people who start off in a thread of the topic that we're all talking about, and then they just descend into, I'm not really listening to them, I'm just going to try and annoy everybody on the feed, and it just becomes silly. But we brought it back, and 99% of the people are really great opinions, and we do really appreciate everything. Sometimes there are some people who just stray over the line, and Tam still wants me to get the t-shirt printed. This is not the show for you. I really should do that. Don says, what's the chances of a wee Christmas competition to win one of those PLZ tops? I think that's a good idea from Don, isn't it?
Yeah. I think Don's from Derry. I'm happy to sign one for and send it over.
Let Don try and win it, by the way. Let's not have
as long as it pays the postage.
The freebie brigade. Don, it's a great idea. I think we'll do that. From the games there, just after the news, we will talk about Rangers against Nice, Cercle Brugge against Hearts. One of my mates is away over there to Bruges to enjoy the European football. Cercle Brugge against Hearts. Is he going to be celebrating a win there for the Jambos? Who knows? We'll talk about that. We'll also hear from Derek McManus ahead of Kelly's game at the weekend. Cara Henderson, our reporter, was down there at Rugby Park today. We'll look at the weekend fixtures. We'll also have a wee look back at last night's debacle. Man City 3-0 up and blew their lead. And we'll hear from Pep Guardiola as well after the news, sponsored by Arnold Clark.
Hi there, I'm Kerry, and here is your daily news roundup on Wednesday the 27th of November, brought to you by Arnold Clark. Hibs boss David Gray believes that the support from fans can be key in getting the team away from the bottom of the Premiership table.
One thing I would say is they were 100% behind the team tonight. You've seen that right to the very end, and they were a massive factor in getting over the line. I think you felt that, and the energy at the end of the stadium. Everyone needs to remember that going home tonight to realise how positive the impact that can have.
Man City boss Pep Guardiola says that last night's draw with Feyenoord was a hard one to swallow, having conceded 3 goals in just 15 minutes.
Oh no, I'll continue the same, so it's not necessary to say anything to them, they know it perfectly. So, 3 episodes, and they didn't allow us to win what we needed for many reasons, not just for the terms of qualification or get the points to go through, for the other reasons, and it's what it is. So difficult to swallow right now.
And finally, as Celtic take on Club Brugge in the Champions League tonight, Cameron Carter-Vickers says the club have learned lessons from previous European campaigns that they can use this evening.
I think if you look at kind of as a group, we've been in this competition now for 3 years, and I think you can kind of see how we've kind of matured and grown as a group in this competition. And it's not just about learning from this season. I think we can take our learnings from the last couple of seasons, and we have done so far to get into this season's competition. And at the moment, it's paying off well for us, though.
For all the latest breaking headlines, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe to PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel, and don't forget to download our app, which is available on Google Play and the App Store.
Yeah, thanks to Kerry there. If Kerry ever decides to do the weight training as well, I think she'll just knock you out because you're always a noise up for her, by the way. I don't know how she keeps
She
her.
makes mistakes. It's my duty, I feel, to point them out, Peter.
Well, I'll tell you one thing, they're few and far between. Great to hear from Kerry on our news there. Of course, we're talking European football. We've been looking at Celtic against Bruges. Give us your opinion on that. Thursday, Nice against Rangers and Cercle Brugge against Hearts. Nice against Rangers. Strange thing about it, Ryan, is we always look at Rangers League and then they go to European football and they seem like a different outfit.
Just seems to suit them, doesn't it? I don't know if it's just that kind of getting away from the pressure of the league campaign at the moment, but yeah, I feel like when Rangers are playing away, I don't know if it's because of their results the last couple of seasons, I just always think that they set up well. They set up to play on the counter-attack, which I think suits some of their players a little bit better, and yeah, I fancy them to get at least something on Thursday night.
Yeah, I fancy them to get at least a draw.
Yeah, I think you touched at the nail on the head there. The league form for Rangers in terms of how they're playing performance-wise, in that every time it comes to Europa League, you're always hesitant, and then they go out and they put on a real good performance.
Why? Is it because they changed the way
they do
play?
change? Yeah, they obviously they're good out without the ball in Europe, and then they look a threat on the counter attack. I just think it's maybe suited to some of the players that they have. So it's very hard to sit here and say what you think the score will be, just because there's so much inconsistency with performance. But you wouldn't write off Rangers pulling off another result.
Yeah, 3 wins in the last 5. They drew with FC 20 and lost to Ferencváros. But you know, they're 5th at the moment, 12 points behind PSG, Tam.
Yeah, I think when you look at the quality that Leon had at Ibrox, I think they're maybe in a similar level to Leon in terms of league position and kind of squad depth. I think that Rangers, 2 things. One is they're not under intense pressure to win in Europe. Yeah. I think here they've got to win, you know, and that pressure, some players can't handle it. And I think secondly, teams open up and play against Rangers in Europe. You know, it's an open game, they'll attack, and Rangers are not used to that, bar probably Celtic here, a team that opens up and comes at them. So I think Nice might have just have too much and maybe nicked the game, but as the guys have said, it's difficult to predict Rangers in Europe because they do raise their game just when you think, you know, they've been poor domestically, they've had a poor performance against Dundee United. You think you'd fancy Nice, but I just think it's hard to go against Rangers. So I think it might be a narrow 2-1 defeat, but it wouldn't surprise me if Rangers got a point.
Yeah, the strange thing about it, Ryan, and I think it's a blessing in many ways for Philippe Clement, is when there's an away game, there's almost that blockage where you film the training, but they get on the plane, they're away, they're not getting that constant scrutiny. And that maybe just gives them that moment of respite away from a 6-game run all the way towards January 2nd, where everybody's looking and saying he's walking a tightrope. Whereas now you're looking at Europe and you're saying, well, what is the expectation for Rangers? Just to qualify out of this new group system?
It would have to be. You know, if you're a Rangers fan, you want them to qualify and get out of that. But I think a lot of the Rangers fans they're just wanting good performances and being consistent, which they're not getting. And I think they're suited away from home because they don't have to take the game to teams. I think they struggle, especially at home when they're having to, you know, teams are sitting 10 players behind the ball and they have to break them down. I think they struggle with that. I don't think they have enough creativity up front or in the midfield to play those, you know, passes that Celtic players can do. They don't really have that, and they kind of get stuck in it, and it becomes a bit of a...
Czerny's been a bright spot.
Yeah.
But it just...
What do you make of Barron?
I think he's all right. I think he does a good job for what Rangers need, but I think he needs creative players around him.
Yeah.
You know, if you want him to go get the ball off the centre backs and start play and, you know, like rat around and win the ball back, perfect for him. But if you want him to then start, you know, like a McGregor, spraying passes and starting attacks, I don't think he's at that level.
Yeah. Yet. I like him. I just think he's in a sea of mediocrity.
Yeah, but that's also, you know, you touched on it, when you're playing with better players that create options and, you know, get on the angle, and then when you do play that pass, you'd have done it loads of times. You play a pass to someone that should turn out and they come back into traffic and they give it back to you, and then all of a sudden you've had one player on you, now you've got 2 or 3 and it's the tightest spot, you end up losing the ball or doing something different. Whereas they just don't seem to have that movement or that sort of front 3, front 4 that can really hurt players, and that's where I think he struggles. If you were to put him in the Celtic team, I think he'd be a lot better because he does look for that first ball forward.
I don't think he's as clean in the ball as guys like McGregor. That I know you're saying, yeah. I just don't think he's as clean and takes as many. I'm going to say risk, but they're not actually a risk in the Celtic team. I just don't think he has that next bit to be obviously Callum McGregor's level, and that's
Certainly days though.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, just based on.
But also Callum McGregor's like up here.
Yeah.
You know, I think he's been one of the best players in the league.
I think the main problem for Rangers now is the lack of a proper number 9. I think that I look at the Rangers team. Dessers played again at the weekend, hooked at half time. They bring Agamani on, pretty raw. I just think they're really missing a good number 9. I think it would make a big difference. Yeah, play 2 up.
Give me the 2.
Play 2 in.
Yeah.
How many times has there been in a game this season where he could go 2 up and maybe see something different, but he just refuses to do it?
Yeah. Well, maybe he's part of that modern thinking that you were always talking about. You know, that there's only ever one there now. You very rarely see a number 10.
Should he change his style of play?
We had that discussion.
Yeah, I didn't say that. Well, who's the number 10 in football just now? Who'd you say in the SPFL? Of the old sort, like the kind of players that you love.
I just don't see them. I don't see them at all. I mean,
they lost the football.
Think so?
Yeah, just
you were the last one.
They're lost at our level in our game.
Play number 10 all the time.
You were the last one.
No, but they're lost in our game at this level. You pay millions for them elsewhere. They're still there across Europe, but they're lost in our game at our level. You can't find a number 10. Number 10 in Scottish football would be snapped up within 1.2 seconds.
My point about
press.
We're talking about modern formations, whatever. My point is what Philippe Clement and Rangers in terms of formations, or when they're chasing a win at the end of the game and the scores are 1 each at Ibrox. We've seen that so many times and nothing changed. So there's got to be a point where he does change something. Get the 2 strikers on the pitch.
Yeah.
Put James Tavernier, who's one of the best crossers in the league, on the pitch and put balls in the box, make the team defend, and you've got 2 strikers up. But he's never done that.
They keep trying to play through teams that are not good enough to play through them.
Yeah.
But they don't have the players who can play in these spaces. Out with Cherny.
MW says Rangers should sign Lyndon Dykes. He'd do well up here and actually get a game. I look at some of the players that are playing in Scottish football right now, and I wonder what Rangers signing policy is going to be in the January transfer window.
Could be anything.
You know, I don't really know where they're going to as far as something that's going to make a significant difference. And of course, we also don't know, as we speculate every day, whether they're going to be really in contention come January to make those necessary signings. They're still 8 points behind Aberdeen, and there's a bit of work to do. But, you know, as Aberdeen slip up, there's maybe opportunities for Rangers to try and just bite into that advantage and, you know, slowly but surely reel them in. Can they do that? The one thing I really do like about European football, and I think it's fantastic, Ryan, is one of my mates said, you know, supposed to meet me this week. He said, I can't meet you. I'm getting on the plane to Bruges for Cercle Brugge against Hearts. And you can't blame him because even though Hearts could have gone bottom of the table last night if Hibs had won, you want to get across to Europe and enjoy the game.
Yeah, I know a few people that are heading across, and I think especially for Celtic and Rangers fans, basically do it every season. They get their sort of away trips. So, for Aberdeen had it a couple of years, Hearts had it last year. Those fans are looking forward to these big city breaks, going away with your mates, a couple of days. I'm sure there'll be a few drinks had tonight and tomorrow night for the games, and I think that's one of the perks of following a club like Hearts or Hibs or Aberdeen, is that you really look forward to when they do hopefully get into Europe, that you can go away and go to a different city, get a few nights away and really enjoy it.
That's the great thing about it, Tam. You hang up, not for us, for Germany, because it was a graft in so many ways, but you get a chance to go away and with your mates just chill out, have beers, do things that you just wouldn't normally do.
Yeah, I think it was class. Obviously, you're talking about clubs, but even Germany in the summer, the amount of Scotland fans out there, Peter, and they were all together, their pals, and going to the games, and having a beer and sitting outside. It was fantastic to see, and this doesn't happen very often. We've all played kind of European games. We've been in contact with the fans that go over there. Most of them are drunk when you speak to them, wherever you are. And you know, that's what it's all about, going away and following your team. As a guy say, Celtic Rangers do it every season really. And for other clubs, it's a fantastic little breakaway, and hopefully you can go and be at that game where your team gets a great result away from home in Europe, and hopefully Hearts do that on Thursday night. Yeah,
Just hoping that quite a few of them, if they're going to Bruges, don't climb that huge church with the view at the top. I don't know if you've seen that movie. Have you seen
in Bruges?
Yes, it's just the best. It's just the best movie ever. Have you seen it?
Colin Farrell.
Yeah, Colin Farrell. Oh, it's fantastic. No,
I've seen it. No.
Colin Farrell and the Penguins, the best thing I've seen in ages.
Is that right?
Have you not seen it yet?
No,
it's class.
I'm not.
Very good. Very good.
Yeah, worth watching.
He'll get whatever it is, a BAFTA or an Oscar or whatever it is. Emmy. He'll get that for that.
Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah, listen, not only are we giving you an opinion on how we think games are going, you know, we're here with Barry Norman.
Letting you know how
who's telling you exactly who's
the Penguins getting on in Gotham as well.
Yeah, absolutely. We're telling you everything, news and movies as well. Cercle Brugge against Hearts. Jambo's 1 win in the last 6. Cercle Brugge have lost their last 2 league games. They get thumped by Anderlecht 5-0. I don't know about this one, but I just see Hearts losing 2-0.
Yeah, I don't think they'll do well, to be honest with you. They might hang in there.
Positive at the weekend, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think a lot of the performances have been better. They've just not picked up the result. I think against Rangers as well, away from home when they got beat 1-0, I thought that was a really good performance. Albeit Rangers weren't great, but from a Hearts perspective, I thought they performed well. I thought they performed well, especially the first half against Celtic, and kind of just faded off. The same as their last European game. I thought the first half they were really good. They're not really scoring when they're on top at the moment, and that's, you know, a lot of it comes down to confidence of where they find themselves in the league. Shanklin's not scoring. They're just that everyone's struggling a little bit.
Prediction?
I think they'll get beat. 2 or 3-0.
2-0.
2-0 Bruges.
Wow, okay. What a laugh that is if you're a Jambo sitting here at the moment with the 4 of us. Apologies on that. SPFL fixtures for the weekend. Celtic Ross County, Dundee United St Mirren, Kilmarnock against Dundee. Cara Henderson went down to Rugby Park.
It's a 3 p.m. kick-off at Rugby Park on Saturday as Kilmarnock host Dundee in the Scottish Premiership, and maybe more intriguingly, it's Derek McInnes versus his old colleague Tony Docherty. It's been a match that has not disappointed so far this season, with 2 5-goal thrillers decided in the 90th minute. However, Derek McInnes wants his side to capitalise on what is a good run of 6 home games out of 10.
We've only had 5 at home. I think this is our only second game on a Saturday at 3 o'clock at home, and we're nearly into December, so we've always had leaned on our home form, and it's important that we try and capitalise that now. The next 10 games between now and the 8th of January, you know, the games come thick and fast, but the majority of them are at home for us after that. And I think Saturday presents itself with a real challenge for us to go and try and make some hay, try and get some points on the board, and hopefully talking about a winning Kilmarnock performance and feeling good about ourselves rather than first question about injuries or discipline. So it's important we try and kind of just get back to winning ways.
Kilmarnock were handed their 6th sending off of the season in all competitions last weekend against St Johnstone, but he thinks his side don't have a discipline problem and he would like to see more consistency from the referees across the league.
We're seeing players getting sent off for 2 or cautioned for 2 tackles far too often. I do think the bar's been set so low this season. I don't know why that is, but we're not seeing the same offence being consistent. You know, it's dependent on the referee you get. It's not the offence. I've looked at games with similar things that we've been punished for over the piece over every other weekend, and I don't see the same yellow card offence for these ones.
It's a 3 p.m. kick-off then here at Rugby Park as Kilmarnock host Dundee in the Scottish Premiership. PLZ Soccer will be here to have you covered, so make sure that you follow and subscribe all of our channels. And also, if you want to hear from Dundee manager Tony Docherty, we have an exclusive interview on our YouTube channel, so be sure to check that out.
Yeah, thanks to Cara, scored a belter at the weekend for Partick Thistle.
She did, I think the Hibs goalie was in for it. But
yeah, okay. There you are. No praise whatsoever from Tam for Cara.
What one?
Still a good goal. Yeah, both of them were in at the same time. But anyway, Cara, well done for scoring for Partick Thistle. And of course, a strange one, Kilmarnock and Dundee have just been playing each other non-stop at the moment.
10-21.
That's exactly it. Put the jumpers down and see who wins. Sunday, interestingly enough, is St Johnstone against Rangers, Hearts against Aberdeen. So it's those type of games as we look and survey the Scottish Premiership over the weekend. We will preview in greater detail on Friday show. Kerry will be with you. She'll be sitting here in the seat talking football. But as far as the games are concerned, Rangers will be looking to see themselves St Johnstone away, and Hearts against Aberdeen could be another tricky one where Rangers must be looking and thinking these are the games where we might get a chance to bite into that advantage.
Yeah, Rangers need to be going to McDermott Park on Sunday expecting 3 points and a few goals. They need a real statement win to sort of get back on track. Aberdeen's got a tricky away game. They've had a tricky run of games like we touched on earlier. Hearts will be fired up for that one. So, yeah, Rangers should be looking at it thinking, we're hoping that Aberdeen can slip up and they can win. But St Johnstone have seemed to be slowly picking up. They've got a bit of firepower up front, which they've not had. Rangers will have to be on their toes to make sure that they don't have a banana skin on Sunday and drop more points.
Yeah, right across our social media, our reporters will be at the games, keeping you right up to date. And of course, we'll get some great features this week. Alison McConnell has been speaking to Shay Logan, and Shay has got lots of opinions, not only on Aberdeen and how they are doing. Of course, he was a former Dons player, but looks back on some of the more controversial aspects of his career, having to deal with racism. It's a very good interview and it'll be out tomorrow. Also, Kerry has been chatting to Paul McGinn, one of that famous trio of players. A great interview as he tries to get back to full fitness, to get back into the Motherwell side. There's lots of great content, and as you mentioned there, we were chatting to Tony Docherty, which was just a great insight, Tam, from Tony as a manager. We've had some great managers sitting here on the couch with us.
Yeah, you've had Tony Docherty, you've had Stuart Kettlewell, you've had Stephen Robertson.
Yeah.
So it's great to get these guys on and just hear their thoughts on how they want to see the game and how they play, and really get an insight into Scottish football. So it was a great hour with Tony.
Yeah, lots more to come on that, lots more interviews. Just before we go, guys, Champions League last night, Pep Guardiola's had to come out and basically offer an apology because he's been scratching his head at times, and he made a comment which was basically a rather flippant attempt at a joke, which I think has prompted quite a few people to say you have to be careful when you're in an after-match interview. I think people who self-harm, it's a very serious issue, and I think the joke just backfired on him.
Yeah, it did. Listen, he's obviously really frustrated. They're going through a real rocky patch, probably one of the worst, in his career. I think 4 or 5 straight defeats, and then Man City giving away a 3-goal lead at home. It's never been heard of. So, yeah, I think you've got to be careful what you're saying. He's trying to make a joke of it, but obviously he's come out and apologised. I think, and hopefully that's the end of it. But Man City at the minute, they just cannot buy a win, which is incredible when you look at how successful they've been over the last few seasons. But something's not right.
Yeah, absolutely. It's incredible because even the commentator, Ryan, turned around and went, right, that's 3-0 for City. They finally get back to winning ways. And then, just absolutely one after the other, just terrible defending.
I think it just shows your confidence as well in football. These players are on hundreds of thousands a week.
And the rest.
And they're kind of...
He sat down and worked it all out. Yeah.
And they're struggling for confidence, or they're not finding the rhythm that they've been in the last couple of months. So it is kind of good to watch those big teams struggle a little bit and see how they get out of it.
I'll be watching Celtic against Bruges tonight, but I wish I was at Anfield for Liverpool Real Madrid. That's the game of the night, isn't it, Scott?
Yeah, I'd love to be there. To be honest, I'd try to get tickets, but too hard for Anfield and Real Madrid.
Where are you going? Where are you going tonight?
I'm going to Celtic Park tonight.
Yeah.
Only the big dogs go to Anfield for a European Champions League night, don't they, Peter?
Absolutely. I was there for the last time Liverpool played Real Madrid. It was absolutely fantastic. Great atmosphere. Obviously, you know, when the teams came out in the Champions League theme, and then You'll Never Walk Alone, it was just absolutely...
I was quite disappointed the last time I went to Anfield.
Well, I was going to say, it's the second best You'll Never Walk Alone. I mean, it's not a patch on Celtic. By an absolute...
We were down for when he played Rangers, wasn't it, Peter?
Yeah.
Wasn't that right? The atmosphere was great.
Yeah, I went to that game as well.
But it's still good to see.
Hospitality enough, I can't remember much after that.
Absolutely. Thankfully, at one point I thought I'd lost you, but then you just kept slapping your face to bring you round.
Peter got hospitality and it was free food and free drink, wasn't it? Basically all night.
Yeah.
So Peter's like, we'll do a bit before the game, a bit at half time, a bit after the game, and by the bit after the game, I was absolutely steaming. It's on YouTube somewhere. Peter's asked me about the game, and I can't even remember what I said. You remember the score? Who was playing?
It was absolutely bladdered, by the way. And you know that bit when you open your mouth and you just get red teeth because they downed that much wine. It was incredible. Still. Consummate professional. That's why he's still here with us. Thanks to Tam, thanks to Scott, thanks to Ryan as well. If you want to look like Ryan or Scott, you can. You just click on the shop and get yourself a Maestro top. You were wondering where I was going with that, weren't you? You don't want to look like Tam, by he was going through that many transformations. If you could see how he joined us the first time, the picture of him in the staff photograph, when he joined his first time around,
tried to dye my hair.
He dyed it peroxide blonde and looked like a Bond villain.
Didn't go down well.
It was, and it was the day.
It was the day before PLZ. I had to come in. Barry Ferguson just burst out laughing when he seen me.
It was also the day that we were taking the professional photographs.
Aye.
So there's, him standing at the edge.
He clicks, Peter,
with a gun and a cat. Still. Thanks to Tam, he's still here with us, and Scott as well. Don't forget, you can see Scott, he's commentating at Celtic Park, and then through the night he's
Al Jazeera. Is it Al Jazeera tonight?
Al Jazeera tonight, and then he'll be doing the news first thing in the morning before doing Nickelodeon for the kids tomorrow as well, just analysing the game in a childish manner. Ryan's just gone straight home. So thanks for listening, thanks for watching.